Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're live. November 21st, 2024, Canoga Park, California, 2LaneLIVE headquarters. This episode is brought to you by EagleRider Motorcycle Rentals and Tours. Don't forget to check out 2LaneLIVE.com under the EagleRider tab to see how you can book a trip, save some money, and have a good time while you're at it. And while you're at it, check out 2LaneLIVE.com because not only do we have a Black Friday sale, but we also have a brand new website going on right now. So, yeah, today we've got Kalen Thorien, adventurer, skier, motorcycler, world traveler. The list goes on. So, boys, what's going on?
Well, what's happening December 7th here?
December 7th, 2024, not to be confused with any other year in case you're watching this sometime in the future. We are hosting the second annual open house party at 2LaneLIVE headquarters, Canoga Park, California. We are raffling off over $10,000 worth of prizes donated from some awesome sponsors and friends. Huge, amazing, the best list. To raise money for the Medicine Wheel Ride Foundation. Doing a lot of hand talking, and I love it. And we'll also have free tacos. We'll have chili. We'll have barbecue. We'll have drinks of a few different varieties. Yeah.
Be here, be square. I mean, that's it. That's all. Show's over.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be, I mean, we learned from last year, so we're going to make it even better. So we hope everyone comes out. But
oh yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say a couple more things. There will be a mechanical bull from what we hear. There will be honor guard because we're doing this on the Pearl Harbor Day, Memorial Day, something along those lines. And warehouse sale, giant warehouse sale on apparel, on parts, on this, that, and the other.
Not only do we have the honor guard or the color guard, but I don't know which is the proper way to call it, but we're going to have a national anthem guy. Someone sing the national anthem.
We're having a fireman that is known for singing the national anthem.
Yes.
I think he also belongs to the Men of Fire, so very cool to have that. It depends. So honor guard means that they'll bring the guns and salute with the gunfire. If they don't have all the guys there, then they'll just do what they call the color guard, and they will not bring the guns. But we're going to have one or the other. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to kick this thing off the right way.
And you know what? If we do get lucky enough and they shoot the guns off, that's 2 weekends in a row, or not in a row, but 2 weekends where we've seen guns.
Well, I was just going to say there are not many people in this country that I know of that can say they rode their motorcycle up a gangplank to the USS Iowa or any form of battleship or a ship for that matter. And then we watched we called it 16-inch because that's what we were told at the beginning is what they were going to fire. When we got there, it was really the 5-inch cannons, which was insane.
Which was still wild.
And if they would have fired the 16-inch one gun, I was told that it would blow all the windows out in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
Well, go back, watch our video. It dropped yesterday. Check that out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because if you don't do that, you're not watching our videos, and
you're missing out.
You're missing out.
Today,
and look at our new website.
Is also a historic day.
What's that?
You know why? Because Lance and I are actually drinking alcohol, thanks to Stone IPA. So.
Thank you, Jesse, for sending the stout because these guys are
Stone Brewing,
not very stout.
Well, without wasting any more time, we should get this awesome guest on the screen.
I see Gus.
There's actually 2 guests.
Let's get Gus in here.
Let's go.
There he is.
Gus.
What's happening, Gus?
Hi, guys.
That's your best friend.
This is Gus. I'm Kalen.
I mean, that dog has been with you on so many cool trips, hasn't he?
Yes, everything but a motorcycle because for some reason he's still terrified of them. He's not my type.
Has he ever encounter any wildlife when he's been out in the wilderness?
Yes, we have encountered some moose, which was a little scary, but he's well trained, so he'll come back, with a little e-collar. But yeah, so some moose, plenty of ducks, squirrels, of course, some snakes. Yep, but he's kind of a little B-word sometimes, so I'm not too worried he's going to try and do anything.
So Gus, the male dog, is a bitch sometimes.
Yes, sorry, Gus. He acts tough, but he's not.
Oh, you say the B-word in front of him, so he won't hear you say the word.
Yeah, he knows it.
Well, I find it really cool when he's out on like your kayak or when he's going down a river and he's sitting on the front there.
Yeah, he's the best adventure buddy, especially because I do a lot, solo. So it's nice to have him around. And just still got to get him on the motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, we met you in 2017 on our first journey to Sturgis.
Yep.
And then we kind of hung out and you rode with us and I'm going, wow, she actually is a ripping rider. So that was a long time ago.
That was like 6 years ago or so. Maybe even more, 7, 8.
7 or 8 years ago. But
yeah. It was.
You hadn't been riding that long either at that point.
No, it was when they were doing the ride to homecoming, or no, it was the year before the homecoming, the ride, the 115, or sorry, not 115, the Sturgis, the 80th, it would have been. So it was the 79th, I think, is when I met you guys, but like through Jesse and Legend Suspension and everything. And yeah, I'd only been riding like a little over a year. But of course, like I'm not trying like anyone to really know that. So like, oh, guys, totally like, I'm a part of the Harley crew. Like, I know this, like born and bred. Yeah. Like,
you handled yourself. No problem.
It didn't feel like you'd only been riding a year. So it was fun to watch you guys. We've ridden with Letitia a couple times, Stacy a couple times. It's fun to watch you guys rip as well. And we're just happy you were able to make the show. You've been moving around a little bit. You've been traveling, and we want to get into kind of all that as we go through. And I think Stacy just threw a sup friend. So good to see you. So you're now in North Carolina, is that right?
Yeah. So I just moved to North Carolina in August, coming out from Utah. I was kind of bouncing around these last 4 years. Sort of just my partner and I were trying to get a pulse on where we wanted to be. And so, yeah, I ended up in North Carolina just because the motorcycle history here and the culture is incredibly rich, between Tennessee, Appalachia. I mean, all of this is like the mecca of motorcycle riding. This is the first place I came to when I did a big trip. And so coming out here, plus it's pretty inexpensive and it's beautiful. And yeah, so it's really, really nice being out here. We needed a garage.
You weren't in any of the damaged areas or the devastation, were you?
Luckily, no. We were maybe a little under an hour, if that, just east of it. So we're in between Charlotte and Asheville. So the power was out for a few days. We didn't have cell service for a few days. Some branches, definitely a lot of water. I was actually overseas in Europe at the time on a motorcycle trip when that was all happening. So I was watching the radar, like, holy shit, this is intense. And I texted my boyfriend. I'm like, it's 9 a.m. or something then. And I was like, hey, is everything okay? And he goes, huh? What? Like, he's like, I'm in bed. I'm like, where's my El Camino? Outside. I'm like, why the fuck is it outside? So yeah, I'm like, get that damn thing in the garage. But
didn't you get a little dent in that thing?
Yes, but that was not from the hurricane. That maybe would have made me feel better. But it was shady mechanic work, unfortunately. A brake job that hadn't actually been done. And luckily I was just going into my driveway when the brakes just fully went out. And unfortunately, I didn't think quick enough to just slam it into park. And it's like all, within that few second timeline. And so I just like rolled it into like the safest place I could into the side of our garage and gave it like a little dent on the front of the hood. And it's all fixed. It's all good now. But that was just like, God dang it. I have so many projects. Like, why not another one?
Especially on a car like that.
Yeah, especially on a 64 El Camino. Yeah, you don't want to dent those.
No.
Oh, well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the trip you were on, because that looked pretty badass. And you've done across the seas a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah.
On a motorcycle?
I have. I've done Europe a few times. The first time I did it was actually on my FXR, which was the first bike that I bought, the one that you guys
didn't invite us on any of the trips.
Yes. You guys are so cool. I can't keep up with the big baggers. No. Yeah, the first one was actually with the FXR before COVID, when Air Canada was doing a program where you could actually fly with your motorcycle overseas to certain destinations, and it's the same cost as like another plane ticket basically. So I flew over to Milan, grabbed my bike through customs, which was interesting. And then I spent 5 weeks overseas on the FXR, and everything that went wrong did, which made it so right. And that was a trip. That was a fun trip.
You have some amazing stories from that, with people helping you out along the way when the bike broke down a few times, and just crazy how the community, even, you don't think about, we think about we're here in the US, but I mean, there's a huge following, arguably more motorcycle riders over there than anywhere else, like in Asia and the Mediterranean. And it's just crazy. Not necessarily Harley riders, but motorcycle riders.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially in Europe, Harley is like, the enthusiasm for Harley over there. I mean, it matches the enthusiasm we have here. What we have is the heritage along with it, but Europe has just absorbed it and celebrates it a lot because they just love it. And so being over there with a Harley is quite special. You kind of feel like you're in a certain crowd, and like you said, even over there, I was helped out quite a bit from Harley owners and non-Harley owners. And my FXR, a part went out, and it was, I just, no tow trucks available, nothing. I'm in a gas station, bike's not running. Before I know it, some like sweet Italian man is helping me load it into the back of his van. He's looking at it, he's like, I think we can do this. And we find like everyone at the gas station managed to like lift my FXR into the back of his like little tiny Italian cargo van, and like doors don't even close. We just like zip tied him, like, kind of together, bungee corded him together. And he gets me down back to Rome at the dealership that's there. We go through it, diagnose it, and it's the ignition module that went out, and they can't get the part. It's an SNS 111, so that it's a specialty part, and they can't get it in time. And I am trying to get back to the airport in a few days to fly home with my bike. So you can only imagine the cost on that, like trying to change all those tickets and that cargo and everything. So I'm freaking out. And it's like, they're going through it. They're trying to figure it out. At this point, I get that call that like, it's just not going to happen. I just break down in my hotel room. At this point, I'm at a loss. I'm like, I'm fucked. Like, what am I going to do? There's no solutions here. And that was the day that Jesse Coombs died too. So then smacked across the head with that, news. And I'm sobbing in the corner of my hotel, just completely given up. I'm done. Screw it. And then I kid you not, this little voice in the back of my head was like, what would Jesse do? And I just like, she wouldn't sit here like a little bitch and cry about it. She would figure it out and find a solution. And so I started texting, and eventually texted the right people, and found it was actually the Hells Angels chapter in Rome that came through with the module. They had it. It was like 45 minutes later. Yes, we have the part. It will be in your bike tomorrow. It'll be ready by tomorrow afternoon.
Wow.
Crazy. You're like, what?
Okay. And it was, and the Hells Angels even brought me down to their clubhouse, and I was nervous. Like, what is this going to be? Like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Like, I'm by myself. And it's like these sweet Italian men. They're feeding me tiramisu and red wine, and just like asking all about Italy and how fantastic it is. And it was just sweet. I see them a lot now, and it's just really great memories. So, I mean, it's a given in the Harley world. A breakdown usually leads to the best, like, memories
for sure. It's funny. Stacy just had a comment on there, and that comment is so true of you. What does it say, Josh?
Turn my mic on. Stoked y'all got this wild child to do the live. She's a hard one to pin down between all of her badass travels, but has so many incredible stories to tell. That she does.
That's true. Because how long have we been trying to get you on the live? A year or so?
No, 4 years. 3 years.
4 years?
3 years.
And this was like the worst year to try and get me to do anything. I didn't even know where I was.
Not that you didn't want to. You wanted to every time. You're just like, I'm here. I'm there.
She's been in a couple of our videos.
Yes.
So we were able to do that.
Yeah.
The one we did at Legend in Springdale.
Oh, yeah. You were in that.
Springville, Utah.
Yep.
And then we got to ride with her in New Mexico, and you were on that pink bagger with the big giant seat.
The electric glide, the daddy
Yeah.
backer. Yeah. That thing was fun.
You ripped that thing. You
I
rode that thing
tried.
great.
I had a lot
So
of fun. It was like, it was just the right amount. It's definitely like a fun cruiser bike, you know, and I was a little like, oh man, I wish I had my Pan Am right now. Cause I get the FOMO of like watching you guys like just haul ass. And I'm like, you know, my ego like kind of kicks in, like I want to get up there. But no, that was
So when
awesome.
you planned that trip, the last trip you just talked about, how did you, is it because you're worldly known because you've been a skier, you've been all over the world on all different things? How did you know to plan where you wanted to go during that trip?
Yeah, during those and like, you know, any of the Europe or any really trips, a lot of the motorcycle trips in general that I take have really been inspired from coming up as a professional skier and being in the outdoor industry for so long, especially Europe. Because a lot of the roads that I rode on the FXR, or like this summer when I went to Montenegro and Croatia and Slovenia and those places, those were all inspired from ski trips and outdoor trips. And I just remember being on them. And I just kind of started riding, and I knew what I loved is I love tight, twisty, technical roads that have, you know, beautiful views. And all these roads that we were on were exactly that. And especially in Europe, it's just oversaturated with really cool technical roads because, you know, Europe's been around for so long. You know, during the wars, they were building roads purely for tactical, you know, reasons that now there's really no reason for them except that they're just really fun, cool roads that take you into beautiful places. So there's a lot to ride out here. And it's also nice because you're overseas, but it's not so wild that it can, you know, get touchy. So it's a great way to kind of dip your toes into like an overseas trip because there's still, you know, it's plenty of amenities and hotels and restaurants, gas, like all these things are pretty reliable and easy to find and stuff. So it's just a really, really great place to ride and experience culture.
Well, we're gonna have to ask you for some help at some point. Maybe 26 we can get over and do some riding. We would love to. You know, the only time we've really gone out of the country was to Canada. And when I watch what you're doing and I see the posts that you're making and in these European small towns and the different riding, I really want to go and try that. So I've only been there and been transported around by taxi or car service, and I haven't even driven over there. Well, I did in Greece, but most of the time you're carted around, and so
yeah,
you see some of these spectacular views in cities you're in, little towns. I'd love to go do it, and I think we need to do that at some point.
I just want to go eat in Italy and, you know,
That
France.
does sound pretty good. Someone did just ask to ask about the Alaska trip, which I want to hear about.
Your Alaska trip was really cool. And when you went up to the top and I saw you actually get in the water and your emotion there was awesome.
Yeah.
How was that?
I can already, like, I feel it in my throat already just talking about it. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, I rode my Pan America up to the furthest most point in Canada to get to the Arctic Ocean. You know, like we have Prudhoe Bay, Dead Horse Point in Alaska. That's our version of it. Canada's version is up in the Northwest Territories, you know, western side. And what separates it is the road is it's not an actual haul road, like for oil and all these things. So it's more of a scenic road that gets to actual real towns. And so it's a little more enjoyable than the haul road, the Dalton, which is just like, you know, the semi-truck chaos. And then you can actually get to the end of it to a town that I finally nailed. It's called Tuktoyaktuk. And it's a small native village up in the north. And you can actually camp on the ocean right at the end, jump in the water like you saw. And so that trip was incredible because I meant to go do the Dalton Highway, my Dalton Redemption. A few years back, we had, with the Beltwell guys, went up and tried to do it. And most of us had to turn around because the conditions were just so terrible. And so two of the badasses made it. The rest of us had to turn around just from heavily saturated road, rain, mud. It was just too dangerous. And so since then, I really wanted to get back up there and actually complete it. And so I'm not even kidding. That was the plan the whole way until I got to Whitehorse in the Yukon, which is the turning point where you head back towards Alaska. And kind of throughout the time going up there, I kept hearing about this Dempster Highway and how it was so much better. But it's a little harder and it's a little more remote and it's a little sketchier and blah, 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 but it's way better. And so it was like trickling in the back of my mind, but the logical side was like, don't do it. I think that's a bad idea. Like, you know, you're trying to get to the ocean. That's the point. Don't just like change your complete plans for something you don't know by yourself. But it was this one guy at a bar having a few beers, and I think it was probably like 9:30 at night at this point, and I'm still kind of humming and hawing, like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? He's kind of drunk, and he goes, wait, you've been up the Dalton? I was like, well, I went like halfway up it. And he goes, fuck it, you've seen it. Go do the Dempster. And right after that, I was like, all right, I'm going to do the Dempster. Screw it. Worst case, I'll turn around. You know, that's what it is, but I just can't. I have to find out. So long story short, I got myself prepped in Whitehorse and started to head north, and it's 450 miles one way of dirt. It's, you know, 2 lane. It's big, wide dirt road. You know, cars come on it, semi trucks go down it. They have to. It still has to access these towns. But the first gas station is 230 miles in. So you got to make sure you can do that stretch. There's no cell service pretty much the entire way.
Oh boy.
And then you hit that gas station, fill up. And then the next one's like, you know, 100 miles or something like that. Finally, you get to the town of Inuvik, which is actually like a couple thousand people. It's a native town. And it's pretty impressive. Like, these people live here year round. You know, they drive this road. This is the closest city is Dawson City, maybe, which is not even a city. You know, Whitehorse, which is 7 hours away. And then from there is the last stretch of 100 miles. And this is the one that everyone gets nervous about. This is the one that fucks everyone up. And riding up there, the amount of carnage that I had seen, broken bones, broken limbs, broken bikes, you know, people getting heli evac'd out. And a lot of it was from this last stretch. And so I'm just like, okay, here it is. And I get myself mentally prepared, and it's just pea gravel. It's just, they built a road on the tundra. They eventually ran out of dirt. And so they just had to bring in pea gravel and just layer pea gravel down for like 70 some odd miles.
Oh,
It's super, super deep and shitty. And I'm not like an experienced dirt rider. If you're like an ADV guy, like you live and breathe dirt, this would be fine. But for me, okay. And so I actually like left as much shit as I could at the campground that I was at, shoved it into a bush, left it there, hopped on the bike, was about to ride away. The mayor of Inuvik happens to come through the campground, says hi to me. I get a picture with him. I'm like, bye. And then I take off. And he's like, how do you like Inuvik? I'm like, it's great. I'm really nervous right now. I need to go before I change my mind. And so I just start going, and it's like, it's the first little bit's fine. And then the gravel hits, and it's just, I wish I had myself mic'd up, you guys, because the external dialogue for myself was just hilarious. Just the, come on, you fucking bitch, you fucking sir. All right, a lot of swearing coming up. You know, not today, Satan. I'm not gonna fucking do. You know, I feel the bike just like shifting every time. Like I'm about to go down. I'm like, no, fuck you. Just hit the throttle. Just everything that I can think of. Like, whatever you do, do not let up off of that throttle. Do not let up off that throttle. Keep looking ahead. That's all you can do. And that's what I did. And I actually didn't drop the bike, which I was super pumped on. And
that's
finally
awesome.
made it to the end. And when I saw that sign, I just screamed and jumped and cried. And I am just hooting and hollering, rip my helmet off, and I look around and I remember I'm completely by myself. I'm like, yeah, cool. All right, thanks. High five, everyone. Just nothing. Like no one to hug, no nothing. And then this really sweet older gentleman from the camping area, all of a sudden I see him jump on his little like 350, and he rips down. He goes, "Are you happy?" And I'm like, "Yes." He goes, "Do you want a hug?" I'm like, "Yes." He goes, "Okay." And he gives me a big hug, and I ended up camping with them. Blah blah blah. But
what a great experience!
yeah.
Did you get to see the Northern Lights at all on that trip?
A little bit, tiny bit. So, which
All
was
right.
nice because it's July. The sun never went down up in the
Oh wow!
the north section.
So back to the end of the road. I mean, even though you're by yourself, what an insane accomplishment, right? You're just so filled with joy and all that yelling just turned into, I did it, I made it. I mean, think
Yeah.
about that. And
Yeah,
that's what gets you back in your throat, where you start thinking about, wow, what an adventure, right?
What an adventure.
It sounds gnarly with the pea gravel. I mean, I don't like, I rode the Pan American Sand and I did not like it.
It's not
Pea
fun.
gravel, might have been the guy that turned around and said, I can't do this.
It's not fun. And especially when you hear like, every different version, like some people, they're just like, oh, it's not bad at all. Some people are like, it's the most awful thing in the world and I never want to do it again. And so I had, I have no gauge on any of this. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. Like I just testing and going, which is a lot of the trips that I've done and things that's kind of just, sometimes you just got to do it that way. You just got to go until you can't, and I tell myself that all the time. It's like, you can always turn around. You can always turn around. But
let's back up just a little, because we didn't really do much of an introduction at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's tell people who you are. You can share with them. We've had some comments wondering what kind of skier you were, what are you doing today and stuff. So let's just give them a little bit of your background and then maybe compare that, finishing that trip, to maybe something in the skiing world that you have done. Is there a comparison that you draw to where there's an accomplishment that made you feel the same way? But tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. I guess for people here that don't really know me, I'm Kalen Thorien. And I'm a rider for Harley-Davidson, and formerly a professional skier. I'm now technically retired, but I came up in the ski world, which was the seed that was planted for all the adventure, that I wanted to take. And so for me, it was all about just, experiencing those highs that you get from those travels and from seeing the world, from meeting new people, from testing yourself, from testing your abilities and your limits. And, I got addicted to that pretty quick, because skiing when I was younger kind of saved my life. I don't want to sound like that dramatic, but it did. Like a lot of us in our teenage years, were wondering who we are, what we're doing. And I felt, really isolated, especially internally, mentally, and really didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And so skiing was a thing that I found in my teenage years that really, really helped me just kind of meditate and gain confidence and find a sense of self, and just joy too, just super fun. And so I just got hooked immediately and wanted to just pursue that. I didn't intend to do it professionally, but that just kind of eventually happened with, when you do something as much as I started doing, I got pretty good at it, and the recognition came with that. And so that inspired the need to, like, oh, okay, like I can get sponsored as a skier. Like, what else could I maybe do to have people like, sponsor me so I can pursue my goals and fulfill my dreams. And so I did that with the outdoor world. And then when I started riding motorcycles, I thought it was silly in my head. Again, it was like, it's Harley-Davidson. Like, yeah, right. But like with anything, it never hurts to try. Worst case, someone says no, or you can always turn around. It's that same concept of, well, I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to just start emailing people. I'm going to start showing up places. I'm going to start, poking the bear and just seeing what hits. And eventually it finally hit, and Harley wanted to start working together. And it, really started with doing the homecoming ride for the 115. Is kind of when the first one came. They needed someone to do the ride from Seattle to Milwaukee. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. Like, I'm ready. and I got this. And from there, it just sort of blossomed. And as time went on, it shifted more into wanting to ride motorcycles, and skiing was cool, but I was just, two wheels were becoming more interesting than two skis. And I decided to kind of transfer it over. And with skiing too, the knees were hurting, the back was starting to hurt. And and I want to do something less dangerous. So here we are. Yeah.
And where did you grow up in the snow? Where did you find the snow?
In Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your family's still there, right?
They are still there, and I'll be back this summer for a trip actually. But yeah, they're in McCall, Idaho, a couple hours north of Boise. Really beautiful mountain town. If any of you guys like beautiful mountain towns with skiing and rivers, Lance, and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you actually been there, Lance? Up like down the Payette or Salmon? I'm sure.
No, not on those rivers. I've been up in Idaho with Galen on the way to his family cabin, but I haven't. My river running was Grand Canyon a few times, and all the rivers in the Sierra Nevada and the Rogue in Oregon, but mostly Kernville was my home base.
That's cool.
I've been down the Salmon as well, and McCall's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
But you would venture south to Salt Lake City and do some of the skiing down there, I bet.
Yes, it's the Hollywood of ski world. If you want to become a skier, you go to Salt Lake City, and especially at the time. So that was like, oh god, that was 2009 is when I moved there, and I just became a ski bum at Alta, one of the ski resorts there, and they have a program where they put you up, they give you a job, they give you a ski pass. You know, you make no money, but you ski every day. It's a great time. So I did that for quite a while. And that's how I got a lot better at skiing. And then the industry is right there. It's like living in Milwaukee for motorcycles. Being in Salt Lake was the same thing for skiing. So from there, I was able to.
That's where I grew up, and it was on our license plate. It was called the greatest snow on earth. On the Idaho plate, it's world famous potatoes.
Yeah, we do have a skiing one now, though.
You do. I didn't see that.
Isn't there a ski?
But I have family in Idaho, and I grew up in Salt Lake, but. They were kind of asking as well, what events were you slalom? Were you downhill? Were you what events?
None of the above.
Okay.
I was an extreme skier. So I didn't compete. I was doing movies and magazines, and so like Warren Miller, Solomon TV was the big one for me too. So backcountry skiing, hiking and skiing down, jumping off cliffs, expeditions, heli skiing, a lot of not jumping out of helicopters, but going out of helicopters. That's mostly what I did. So powder skiing. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So your events were, you had no idea what was going to happen, whether an avalanche starts behind you or you were just going for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, let's go ski stuff that doesn't get skied in really remote areas where there's like no cell service and you might die.
And you've continued on to let's go ride gravel roads alone and find out what's at the end.
Yeah. Decided to do something safer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I've also, I know you haven't given up the passion for it. Maybe you're not doing it professionally, but I've seen some stuff over the last couple of years where you're out and about and some deep pow and all that good stuff. Yeah.
I still, like I said, I retired per se. I got a little burnt out on it for sure. It was, just like any sport or anything that's a passion, when you do make it a career, it still is a career. And I found myself getting burned out. I saw the next generation coming up of just really amazing women that were way better than me, but having to work like 2 jobs just to support their skiing. And here I am getting paid and not doing what it's so obvious, like, okay, the torch, time to pass it on. I'm going to go focus on motorcycles. You guys do the ski thing. And I haven't really looked back, and now it's really nice because I'm enjoying skiing again. I ski how I want, when I want, where I want. And it's a nice feeling. It's enjoyable again. So,
right.
And you get out in the canyon lands and you do all these little river expeditions with your inflatable kayak. And I mean, you do a lot of solo stuff.
I do. I really do like to go solo, just because it's a great way to clear the mind. I'm a bit introverted. I'm good at being extroverted, but I'm introverted. And
I like
that. And I have ADHD, and so I can get burnt out on things a bit. But so going out on these solo trips definitely helps me sort of clear my mind, get me motivated, sort of figure out what I want to do. It's kind of everything. It irons out some of the creases that might be in life that can just be hard to get to when you're just constantly being talked to or interjected, especially with a phone. So being stimulated. So getting out definitely helps like that. And before I lose you guys and my friggin' thing dies, I think I'd be good at this. Okay, sorry.
Now you're charging.
Yeah. So doing those solo trips is that, and it's also a great way to test myself. You know, I like the mental test that comes with it. I will say the older I get, the less I feel like I need to do it. And now without having my dog around, it's just not quite the same anymore. Solo motorcycle trips are still really fun, but like backpacking, camping, anything like that without my dog is just so weird. You know, I'm like, what is this? This sucks. I don't want to be here.
Who watches your dog when you go on solo motorcycle trips?
I know my sweet boyfriend does, or my parents, or friends. Yeah. So he has a buddy too. So my boyfriend has a dog as well, which helps. But
well, you've kind of mastered the trips of solo, being whether it's you running a river or camping or being on a bike. We've had a lot of wonderful guests on here: Becky, Stacy, Letitia, as we mentioned early on, and part of it, sometimes we talk a little bit about how they're treated in certain situations. And I'm wondering, in the US versus other countries where you've ridden, is the treatment the same from men? That do they look at it the same way over in Europe as sometimes guys do here, which are bad ways? And, you know, is that really your bike? How did you get here? Like, they don't really know the person and how badass they are. They just assume. Is there a difference, different countries, or no?
I got you. I mean, overall, you know, not really. And you know, there's like little cheeky things, you know, guys, oh, that's a big bike for you and stuff. You know, I just laugh and let it be, because it's like I grew up around that kind of, you know, especially the sweet old men that are, you know, they're just making little jabs, and you just jab them back and play around with it. You know, it's always fun. It definitely, yeah, in Europe, no, it's the same. If anything, sometimes the men can be a little more upfront in Europe, you know, but it's that more that like kind of French, like je ne sais quoi, hello, and like, you know, I'll definitely have some dudes that are very forward, but they're not in like a creepy way. You know, it's very forward, but like they're not. That's just how they are. It's that European culture of just being a little more, you know, overtly kind of freely sexual and things like that. I will say though that American Harley culture is definitely more rugged, you know, than European Harley culture. Like, I don't care how hard they try in Europe. No offense, European friends, but it's so clean and like well taken care of and like nice over there. Like even the rallies in Europe are just like the food is really healthy and good, and everything's really clean and nice, and the bathrooms are all like temperature controlled, and it's all, you know, it's all like,
so no deep fried Twinkies.
No deep fried Twinkies or like crazy brawls or yeah, not anything like that. So it's a little more fine tuned over in Europe. But in terms of being alone on the road as a woman in either country, or continent, no, I don't notice a difference. Nor have I ever had a situation that made me extremely uncomfortable. I've had some where I'm like, all right, I need to like get going, or maybe, okay, I'm going to kind of keep my head down and just not make eye contact and just kind of balloon myself a little bit and do my thing and get out. Like that kind of, you read the room, you read the situation, but I've never had anything really bad happen to me on the road. Knock on wood.
That's good.
So
that's a good thing.
People are pretty awesome.
The trip that you had the first time you went out and you're on the FX, and all the issues that you had along the way created a story and memories.
Yeah.
Now you go out recently. Talk about the most recent trip you did, because I don't think there was the same like breakdown issues or things. Maybe there were, I don't know, but you have a whole different set of memories because the trip went a certain way. Talk a little bit about the last trip you did.
Yep. So, you know, in a way, the nostalgia of that FXR Europe trip was really cool, and I'm glad I did it. But honestly, just going overseas, having a brand new bike, like renting one, you know, and just good to go, it's so much better. I didn't go to Europe to work on my bike. I went to Europe to see Europe.
Right.
the thing. Like, I'll go break down in America. That's fine. But like, I came here to see some shit. And so like the memories were great, but just having a bike that will start every time and modern technology, it's just good to go. It makes it a little more fun for me personally.
Right.
Yeah, like I have a list of things I want to see, and I tend to oversaturate those to begin with, like way too much that I want to do. And so you give me a breakdown and it's just toast. And then I get all like anxious and like, oh, fuck, God, this whole trip's ruined. Screw it. So I like having the modern bikes. Like this year I had a Heritage Classic over when I did Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, and Albania. And the Heritage was cool. It wasn't like what you would typically choose, but that's what made it kind of fun, because we're talking like, especially Albania, it's still pretty rough, like the infrastructure outside of like the main highways, but that's what makes them really fun. So you've got these single lane, like 180-degree turns up through a mountain. And I mean, just floorboard, drag. I'm like, I'm sorry, Harley. But all of a sudden the road just turns to dirt that wasn't supposed to be, like shit. But it made it really entertaining. And because I've had a Pan Am before, which would be the ideal bike, honestly. If you had to pick a bike for Europe, I think the Pan America would be the choice. But you want some clearance, you want to be a little more nimble, small. Is good. Like a lowrider ST would probably be my next choice. But it was fun to kind of play around with like different varieties of bikes over there. But people, regardless of what they are, they just love them. They love.
You mostly ride the Pan America, right?
Mostly ride the Pan America. Yeah, that's what I mostly been on. So I have a 24. I got a 24 this year for my Alaska trip. And then my 21 model just popped a new motor in it and have some fun plans for that one. So yeah.
So what was kind of the favorite run or two that you had in the latest trip?
In Europe?
You didn't pack your bike in an Italian man's van.
No.
What was kind of exciting? Was it just the sights, or what was your kind of favorite pieces?
So yeah, since I didn't have to spend my time fixing an old FXR, I got to see all the places that I really wanted to ride, all these roads that I had just been geeking on Google Map and Google Earth, and that I had seen before from my trips that I had done, and finally to be able to ride those roads. Especially in Montenegro, there was this bridge that I went across. It's actually part of a UNESCO heritage site, and it's at this gorgeous gorge, super, super deep, one of the deepest ones in Europe, called Piva Canyon, Piva. And this big bridge that comes across it. And I had been there like 6 or 7 years prior on a separate just work trip with Solomon doing like hiking stuff. And I remember that road as clear as day, and I hadn't forgotten about it since. And I just knew I needed to ride it. So the second, like when I came across that bridge and came through that road, perfect weather, everything had aligned. Like that was that moment. Like I am back here just to see myself back in these places that at the time I barely knew how to ride. I wasn't sponsored by Harley. I, was figuring my life out. And the fact that I got myself back there in this manner, it just was a really fucking good reward. It felt really amazing. Just like getting to the Arctic Ocean. It's like, now I'm back in these areas that I told myself I'm coming back here on a motorcycle one way or another. I don't care, but I'm going to make it happen. And I did. So this is awesome.
So with all your travel and everything, how often do you communicate with your mom? Because I think she misses you.
Yeah, why did she just tell you that? This is the only way
she didn't say anything.
My mother started an Instagram page purely so she could know what the hell I'm doing, because I don't communicate enough. I'm so bad, and I'm sorry, Mom. I don't even I'm the worst communicator.
But you just brought up a really good point, because when my son was doing freestyle motocross and traveling, and the times I wasn't with him, the only way I knew what was going on was through Instagram.
See, there
so
you
it's
go.
kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, that's the only way to keep tabs, which is just so funny. So she at least kind of like has an idea, but also like she assumes my Instagram is like to the minute, and she's like, oh, Kalen, like looks like you're coming through Idaho. I'm like, Mom, I'm in Europe right now, or so, no, I'm not, because I don't try to keep it too to the day.
A lot of people do that, not just moms. That's everyone thinks we're somewhere on a picture. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, no,
We'll do a
definitely not.
podcast.
I'm not in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, we'll do a podcast on like a Thursday, and then on Friday, post a picture from Utah. Oh, you guys made it there quick. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, man. just came out here
Well, we
fast.
had a guy at the beginning of this.
You know what? Let's find
It's
his
like-
comment. We,
Yeah,
like
go to
every
the
time we
top.
do a live, we put something up ahead of time so people know to tune in. So Mr. B something said, pre-upload bullshit, unsubbed. So I said, what are you talking about? Sorry, we gave you an hour heads up about a live stream. Go mow your lawn. So people on the internet just don't know what they're talking about sometimes. It's okay.
They think everything they see is live.
Mhm.
Live.
To
Do it
the
live.
moment.
Oh, when you told
So-
me that was live, I was like, shit.
Shit.
Can't
So let me
fix.
ask you this. You came up in skiing, whether it was before social media was like a really prevalent thing, and then when you went into doing the motorcycle stuff and entering, say, the media world, how has that changed for you in the past, I don't know, 8-10 years? Because like 10 years ago, Instagram, if you get a brand deal and do something with that, that was huge.
Mhm.
And now everyone and their mom is trying to do YouTube or this, that, and the other. And it's so saturated. And you were talking about burnout earlier. I'm just curious about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean that is something that lives rent free in my mind every morning that I wake up. It's like, what is this anymore? And especially a few years ago when the video side of things really ramped up. We got the reels. Photo was pretty much dead, and my thing was photo. That's how I did everything. That's how I made my living. And that's why I was able to do stuff solo, because taking photos solo is a lot easier than video. and I love doing it. I had found a great rhythm, and then all of a sudden video happened, and then these more like TikTok-y style videos. So it wasn't even stuff that was really beautiful, because I remember when Reels first came out, it was like all really like cool scenic stuff, and everyone loved it. But even that shit like died, and it just became like this really cheesy, someone in their house getting 1 million some odd views with one little camera, and here I am setting up drones.
I just rode my motorcycle to Alaska.
To Alaska.
And you got more videos on your couch.
And nothing happened. And so, of course you get burned out, and you feel really defeated, and you're like, what am I even doing anymore? So I just have to remind myself not to get too like wrapped up in the trends, yeah, you got to adapt. You got to definitely maneuver, but don't lose sight of who you are and why you're doing it. And instead of trying to sell it to the people, fulfill yourself with your art. So do the trip, showcase it and how you want to do it. If people like it, awesome. If they don't, it is what it is, but at least you go to bed with some integrity and with a spine intact, and
100%.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't adjust. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll do my, a little more cheesy videos and stuff, and you learn to kind of have fun with it, but to fully just switch everything for the sake of what's trending it just doesn't have any longevity in it. So I'm relying on myself and what's worked for me, which is just following your passions, following what makes you makes you happy, and see what happens, and go with that, because it tends to work.
I like that.
I mean, what's been interesting for us when we started the channel, it was kind of around a TV format, if you will, like a 30-minute thing. We have breaks, we have cutaways, this and that, and it always had a purpose. And we've always done that. And a year and a half in, YouTube will say just started favoring, say, those 7-8-minute episodes instead of 30. We're like, fuck that. We're not going to change to adapt to that. We're going to maybe change some things.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the long run, eventually it comes around to favor what we're still doing. So it's like you said, just keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
People enjoy it, stick with the art.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
says,
would
"We're doing it right."
I would say this, that we couldn't have reached as many people as we have reached without it. But social media today is, even 4 years ago when we started, 5 years coming up in February when we started, has completely changed. And you look at what the feeds look like today, and it's all commercials now. It's not, you're not seeing people that you see as much as you used to. It's being fed to you, and we still have to use it because it helps us get a message out. But I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of false positives in it. You think you have all these people liking, you think you get all that, but it's, you know, Josh will spend 2 hours a week just getting rid of bots.
Yeah,
And
sure.
it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm being a little bit facetious with him, but it gets to a point where it's like, it's, you think you're capturing all these, the attention of all these people, and how many views did I get, and what did I do in here? And instead of just being organic and saying, I don't care, I'm just going to put what I want to put out and not worry so much about, you know, the end result of it.
And it's like you kind of said, it used to be you are capturing what you are doing. Like you're doing the thing and capturing it is the secondary. It's the byproduct.
Yes.
And then once more and more people started entering that realm, you're capturing it to do it, you know, like almost in reverse order. Like I'm not going to do it unless I capture it. I'm trying to be this, you know, it's just an interesting realm.
And honestly, for me, watching you over the last 4 or 5 years, I love the picture aspect of it.
Yep.
I love all of a sudden there's a shot and you can tell you're in your sleeping bag and it's out the tent and there's this incredible, I love, because I know what that feels like, and I'm there with you in a way. And it's like, and you have to keep doing that stuff because I think people that really appreciate it, you know, that's what you're gravitating towards, and don't lose that, because you're sitting in a little shallow and you got a shot of the dog up front and you're like, and it's just like, that's a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And video, I was just going to say, video or photo or not, capturing stuff solo is incredibly difficult. And I don't think people realize that. So
yeah, it's super difficult. That's why everyone's like, how many miles do you do a day? I'm like,
11.
150. Unless I act, you know, I pick and choose days, but yeah, like a shooting day for me, I usually try not to do more than like 100, 150 miles because there's so much stop and go, setting up things, you know, when you're by yourself. So yeah, that's a definite thing with it. And for me personally too, kind of jumping back to what we were saying is, I've just, in the time that I have been in social media, there's always these big swings that happen. You know, we see this big thing and it all just kind of like, and, you know, the pendulum just evens out again. And I think we've saw a big swing and it's going to start to kind of chill out again. Like people are going to start coming back to stuff that has a little more substance to it. You know, during COVID and everything and during stuff, like we needed maybe some light content, stuff that made us laugh, you know, stuff that's fun and personable and everything. And now I think we might see a swing back towards stuff that's a little more expansive than just someone's house. I'm hoping, you know, will it ever be the hundreds of millions of views and follows? No, but at the end of the day, like adventure content will not go anywhere, and we can't feel deflated if maybe it's not doing as well as we would hope. But also remember, it's super important for those who need it, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody nowadays is a YouTube star, so the competition field is giant. But like you say, you be true to yourself. That's all that matters.
I mean, I don't even know if everyone is a YouTube star. I think we were told by a gentleman by the name of Cole Seeley, don't worry, just keep the pace and the course, basically. Like, don't worry about and luckily for us, the amount of writing we were doing before the channel and questions we were getting through Instagram, quite frankly, was our ability to start a website and start selling the product that we're writing on with the sponsors and the partners that we have. And our goal at the beginning was hopefully it'll pay for our rides and dinners, you know? And if it does, we're going to be stoked. And it's allowed us to stay, I would say, mostly true to the content that we build, and it's gotten better over the years cinematically, but our goal always was it needs to be cinema. It needs to be something that you can sit down and watch for 20 or 30 minutes and enjoy yourself and get immersed in the history and the food. You know, Stacy also does a good job of the food and the history and places. There's not that many channels that you're seeing on motorcycles that really do that. It's, you know, Matt Laidlaw just chimed in, but he's
just good
another
at
one that does
capturing rain.
He's another one that does a great job with like taking you in. He's
Yep.
not only does he tell you about the different kind of motorcycles that are out there from Harley and the reviews, but he'll take you on a trip and take you into different places. And so we've just decided let's stay true to that. And we don't have to kind of jump into the algorithm game.
Yeah, Matt, I know you're watching today. That's awesome. We're going to plan a trip with you this year, aren't we? Let's do it.
He sent a message the other day, 25. Let's go.
Kalen, you're more than welcome. Stacy, let's all do it. Let's do an all-star trip and make it really cool.
The only thing is those guys can only ride for like 3 days.
I don't know. Matt's been doing some big trips, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa, those are harsh words, man.
They're badass. I mean, they close the dealership at like 5 or 6 on Saturday. They get on the road and they ride for hours, and then they wake up in the morning. They get a great couple days of riding in, but they got to be back home Monday night because Matt's cracking the whip Tuesday morning. Get out and sell, baby.
Here's the deal. I think you'd plan this right because Kalen can find the best roads, Stacy can find the best restaurants, and we can just sit back and relax, take some pictures.
Josh,
it'll be like a tour, you know. It's all life is good.
This idea.
I love me some logistics planning. It's definitely something I enjoy thoroughly. Surprisingly, route planning, logistics planning, give it to me.
Matt just said he works for a living, bro.
Dave,
that means you're on the clock. Why are you
Yeah.
watching then, dude? Dave.
Kalen, what's happening for 25? Do you have any plans? Are you going across the pond again or anything big?
Yes,
Or
and
can
yes,
you
and
talk
yes.
about it?
Yeah.
Or are you going
yes.
to come and see us?
Yeah, well, I know you guys are so far away now. Actually, am I coming out to California? I don't know. I mean, you never know. But plans wise, yeah, 25 is going to be a cool year, you guys. It's going to be kind of a shift as you know, as I get older. I looking for a little more fulfillment in my life. So I am undertaking my first chopper build. Yes. So this winter, starting in January, I'm going to be building a panhead chopper with. It's inspired by growing up in Idaho, so it's kind of an Idaho themed inspired chopper, and I'm planning to debut that at Sturgis, and then do a trip on it through Idaho and stuff afterwards, which will be kind of full circle situation. And then also planning to explore the Northeast, the one place in this country I really haven't been. So that's super exciting. Yay.
So are we. We want to do a Oregon coast. We have not shown. We've done that on our way to Sturgis one year. And we
Oregon
went all the way
East Coast? East Coast.
Northwest coast.
Oh, so I'm talking Northeast Coast. I need our region.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I can still tell you some roads though, and I'm sure Stacy will tell you all the food. But yeah, the Northeast for me. So the Northeast is definitely the one kind of last region I haven't explored at all. Especially on a bike. I haven't been on a bike at all. So in
Maine.
Yes, Maine, Vermont.
We've been there.
Oh,
Boston.
Okay, I'll have to come to you for advice then.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly just pumped to kind of stay a little more local because I grew up out west. I've ridden the west. I've ridden a bit of the east, but not that much. And so it's really cool to live in a place where even within a few hours are endless roads that I've never even seen. So I'm staying a little more local in that regard, but gonna do Tennessee Music and Motorcycle Revival in May. Hope you guys will come. It's so freaking fun. And then Sturgis, of course, homecoming. And then the big across the pond trip in the fall is going to be Japan. Yes. So going to do a late fall for us, but for them, it's right on the money. A late October, November trip through Japan with The theme, the inspiration is just following the fall leaves. So they have some of the best colors. Like you think it's good out here, there it's like next level. And following them north to south while also experiencing the culture, the nature, and meeting builders and fellow Harley enthusiasts along the way. So that's
the chopper
big
culture
bike. Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Japan is wild.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully squeeze Moon Eyes in there too. So
Yep.
yeah.
Wow.
So that's the year. Bikes
Yeah, the year. So
East
we're
Coast
definitely
Moon
probably gonna see in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Milwaukee, Sturgis, maybe TMMR. Get you guys to ride out to that one. I know it's a bit far for y'all.
Well, we
But
want to go to Arkansas.
that works. Perfect.
That's close.
That's on the way. You have to go through it pretty
Yeah.
much that's from your direction. So yeah, actually, that could be.
So I don't know if you saw it. I used a picture for the thumbnail. It was your blue FXR skis and a mountain in the background. Where was that at?
The skis attached to it. That was in Utah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. So that was in Utah. I used to in the spring. I love to strap my skis like when the roads are clear. Love to strap my skis to my bike and ride up to the mountain to go skiing for the day. And yeah, it's fun, you know. spring skiing.
I'm not advocating this, but it could be cool. My family being from Idaho, you know how the license plates are, right? So they put a number in the county that you're in. And I was just quickly trying to look up McCall, but is that 2A or what's the?
It's V, Valley County. It's a straight V.
Is it a 1 or is it
Just
1V?
Just V.
It's just because that's the only Valley County then.
That's it. Just V.
So you got to work that in somewhere in the paint scheme.
So I definitely I want to work. I'm gonna work some Idaho stuff in there. So like the state gems and the state tree, like white pine, have some touches of white pine in there. It's gonna have a lot of fly fishing elements to it. So
Warm River
touches in there. We have a really incredible CNC machine and stuff. So we're able to actually make a lot of our own parts. And I say this as we, as in my partner, he's the brains. I'm learning. I'm super excited to be able to learn all this stuff because I can definitely mentally design a bike and I know how it works. But once you start adding the actual fabrication to it, it's a little over my head.
I think in the paint you should have a russet potato cut in half with butter and like steam coming off of it.
We're gonna have a potato. Oh my gosh, valve cover stems. The little potato.
I love that.
Becky, actually, Axel, I should see if you can make those. I know you got the wiener ones.
They are the best potatoes in the world. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God, that's what all we're known for, apparently.
No, more than that. But I mean, my grandfather was and uncles and that farmers and potatoes and wheat, and we loved going. And they rotated every year, and we'd walk out with potato sacks and just pick the field after they'd gone through and just get the seconds. And these things are massive and just really good stuff.
Maybe I should
Food.
put like a potato ballot. Oh, sorry. I like a little potato.
That one year
lunch.
we were in Walla Walla, Washington, eating raw
onion, sweet onion.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sweet onion.
They were good. It was like eating an apple.
So good.
Well, they're technically really good for you raw. They're just, I guess, like vitamin C, maybe.
They keep vampires away.
Yeah.
Like garlic.
Right, garlic. Yeah. Yeah.
That keeps a lot of things away.
So yeah, that's funny. Thinking back to when we met you in Sturgis, and we rented this big cabin across from Legends house, Jesse, and you were there. You came to that cabin. That was. We always think it was like 20 years ago, but it was only like 8 or 9 years ago.
We can't figure out how many years we've been going. I don't know why.
We got to do some math.
I think it was 2018. I'm pretty sure. I think that was my first
You're
Sturgis.
17. I looked at a picture and we were there.
Or 17. Okay.
Yeah,
It's one of those years. Yeah. No, I remember, and I was so clueless, dude. I had like $200 in my bank account. Jesse put me up, like basically fed me, like took care of me because I was transitioning between skiing and wasn't making any money from motorcycles, like in between, and just running around, just running a gun and stunt riders and like, just such a different type of lifestyle than what I came from. And I loved it because that's like really kind of more who I am. But just the shenanigans that went down. I mean, it was like 10 days. I don't even know how I did it. Because now I was like 3 days of Sturgis and I'm done. I'm like, everything hurts, you know.
Well, we were standing at the One-Eyed Jacks, all of us.
Yeah.
And remember, Jeff Wick was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the Harley rep at that time.
Yeah.
I
That's
said,
the
you got to
night she
meet
came
this
over.
girl.
That's the night
Yes.
she came to the cabin.
Yeah. I go, you got to meet
We
her.
had a
She's awesome.
barbecue.
She's rad. She rides good. And then you guys met and.
Oh, yep. And off it was. And dude, Jeff was such a big help with all of that. He introduced me to so many incredible people. But yeah, I remember meeting you guys and just like, you know, everyone was just so cool. Like, you know, like everyone's just like so Harley and like badass and just like naturally just awesome. And you know, inside I'm just like freaking out. Like, what is going on the outside? Like, hey guys, like, what's up? Yeah, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
So back then,
Did
like
I fall off a bar
17
stool in your house? I think I did.
You might have.
Records. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Something tequila.
But in 17 and 18, and I think maybe 19 was the last year, all the stunt guys were camping at Jesse's place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it shit got wild a couple times, and it was like,
Over it.
he's like done with that.
Yeah. Well, he had them all in like when we were there in like the apartments, like at the thing.
Yeah.
So they should have like 6 or 7 stunt riders in like one big room with bunk beds together and an open kitchen filled with beer. I mean, come on.
And the funny thing is, we still know and love all of them that were there, and there's
Oh, that was the best, dude. That they were the shit. The day I left, my battery basically was dead. And they helped like jumpstart it for me. They, you know, pushed it and they like jumpstart. I had no idea. They're like, oh yeah, just do it. And I'm like, can you do it? I don't know how to do that. And so they got it started for me. And I ended up riding away. I got like 5 miles out of town and just finally it was just dead. And it actually ended up being the Stater. And so one of the stunt guys happened to be going back to Salt Lake, and like not even kidding, within 10 minutes before I knew it, my FXR is getting loaded into a truck and I'm getting a ride back to Salt Lake. Like it just
That
worked.
FXR has seen a lot of action.
The what?
I remember I've seen a lot of, I remember when you laid it down
Yeah.
somewhere. Was it in Utah or
I was
Arizona?
in Idaho, within a mile
in
from my
Idaho.
house. Yeah. It was just took a back road, kind of didn't know it, took a back road, and it was like a hard, like we're talking like a 90-degree turn. And I came in like pretty hot on it, but would have had it, but came around the corner and there was a bunch of gravel that was strewn out like right at the outcome of the turn. And I just low-sided, from what I don't remember it at all. I got knocked out. But I low-sided and then it hit my crash bar, which ended up high-siding me. Is what I think happened. And then I went like just face first right into like a ditch. And because when I came to, ambulance was on me and everything, I had my helmet on, but I ended up just like, I think I just hit my handlebars just like this or something. But yeah, that was apparently like they're wiping all the shit off of me. And the only thing I could say was like, how's my bike? Like, how's my bike? You know, that's all I could
put the little scratch on the chin.
Oh yeah, it scratched on the chin. My whole nose was ripped up, and I had
Yeah.
2 very big black eyes.
Yeah.
Very big.
So
black
you really
eyes.
got a
good luck.
good blast.
Yeah. Luckily, the bike was actually pretty okay. It was mostly just the tank that took the brunt of it. But yeah, that was really shitty. Yeah, that was the one bad thing that's really happened on a motorcycle, I'd say.
Well, we're coming up over an hour, and it's been 3 years too long for you to get on here. But the cool thing is we've ridden in between those times, and it'd be fun to connect in 25 as well if there's a way to do that with a couple of the folks. Maybe we could go across the pond with her. No, I'm kidding.
You name
we have to figure that out. We've got to pick your brain on what we should do. If it's the one and only time, and it may not be, but where should we go ride, and what you would recommend out of all the different places?
Well, we had a
you've
whole
seen?
plan. It just didn't happen this year.
Yeah, that was different though.
To be over there.
Yeah,
The
we got Africa too. Got that one on the list.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That would be epic.
I, for some reason, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of thinking like Swiss Alps, and I've never been, but you see the pictures and the scenery and the videos, and it's just like,
Yeah.
God, that's just looks spectacular to me.
Isn't
It's
that where
otherworldly.
Hitler's nest was up there in the mountains, way up high? Just
It's otherworldly.
History.
We don't really have a gauge on what dramatic mountains are on this side. You know, maybe in British Columbia and Alaska, but that's about it. Just there, it's like take the biggest mountains in the world and then kind of scrunch them together and then put a bunch of roads through them. It's just this really weird mess. And then put a bar and restaurant over the top of all of them.
well, that's a good way to explain it.
I mean, we grew up in Idaho and Utah, right?
Mhm.
And the Wasatch and the Rockies, they're incredible. But when you go to like, we were in Canada, and I'm like, oh my God, these are the Rockies here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I was in Alaska a number of years ago, and to see you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see something even more extreme than that.
Yeah. The sheer volume of it. And like I said, just the fact that they even built roads, most of them, I think like 90% of the roads I ride over there, I'm just like, who the heck put this here? This is ridiculous. Who built this? This is insane. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So yeah. It's great. It's thrills and chills and everything's great. The beer is cheaper than water. The food is hearty and delicious, but you don't really gain weight. It's like a magical land. So,
Right. Right. I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
Well,
she
I was
is.
going to say, where can they find you, Kalen? Because I'll put some links in the description. We have your website and your Instagram. Is there any place else where they can find you?
On the road.
On the road. That's exactly what I
that's a
was
good
thinking.
answer because that's really where she always is.
Yeah, but yeah, for sure. Instagram is where you're going to see what all the happenings. My website is great if you want to get in touch with me. And please do, like, even if you just have questions about a place you might want to go or how to rent a bike or something, never be afraid to email me or DM me. Email is a better chance of me getting back to you. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Please, guys, don't be shy. I love talking about all of this. So
Where's Gus?
Gus is asleep on the ground right now. Shh, don't wake
Okay.
up.
Well, we love you, your family. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
We love to hear your stories, and we appreciate what you bring to the community and bring to female riders as well as male riders, just to show it can be done and you can go do stuff on your own and solo. It's really cool stuff.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And back at you. I think got to keep that stoke alive, and you guys do it. I do it a lot. Everyone commenting, we all do it in our own way.
Right.
And so yeah, just don't forget that. Like we were talking about, don't get wrapped up in what everyone else is doing, and just continue what you're doing, because you'd be surprised how many people you sponsor, regardless of who you are. Right.
Everyone might not be a subscriber, but there's a lot of people watching.
Yeah. And just do it. Fulfill yourself, before you fulfill the feed.
Right.
And let's get another ride together someday, because that Sturgis one was fun.
Yeah.
Let's plan
we'll
it.
see you in Milwaukee for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
So.
And the Sturge, the old
At
Sturge.
least Sturgis.
Yeah.
Be the Sturge.
Definitely. That'll be great. I can't wait, you guys. So appreciate y'all.
Hang on for just 1 second. We're going to close and then stay there for 1 minute.
Okay.
And then we'll let you get back to Gus.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. If it is before November 30th, 2024, you can go on 2LaneLIVE.com and use the code BF24, Black Friday 24, for the largest discount we've ever given site-wide. You can get like $1,000 worth of stuff for $850. Bars, risers, seats, cam chest kits, oil filters, oil change kits, air filters, air cleaners, socks, shirts, hats,
suspension, tires.
Well,
everything.
Minus suspension, but yeah.
Oh, you're talking the discount.
Yep, the discount. You can get all those things.
Suspension.
So she just has it all going on. She's an
does.
adventurer. She's got the whole deal, and she's doing it, and she's living it. And
well, we were probably some of those older white guys at the gas station, but when we first met her, we were ripping. Was it Rocky Mountain?
Yeah. No.
Estes Park. Where did we?
I don't remember. We'd have
Or
to.
we were doing it, and we're like, after we got off the bike, it's like, I mean, she can ride.
Oh,
and then we were talking about how long have you been riding? She's like 1.5 years, and we're just like,
holy
she's
shit, she
picked it
knows
up.
how to ride.
But I think the adventure in her and the type of person and the skiing and the like no regard, not holding back and just going for it.
No regard.
I mean,
yeah.
It's like she gets it. Like she thought she could get it out of that turn, but she hit the gas a little bit. And
it's so interesting how life is now, because when we were younger, growing up, we were adventurers back then. Just you couldn't share with anyone unless you had an 8mm movie camera.
I'm rolling the tape forward. We're 7 years ago. I'm 53, 2, 1. You're 6. You're 55 or whatever the hell. And so we're the old white guys.
Right.
Going, damn. But she can rock it, and I love seeing the outdoors side of it, and just her regard for the natural beauty of, you know, the content that she provides. And so well done, and thank you for joining us. And
yeah,
I do have a goal this year.
Yeah.
To be like
to get
Kalen?
you guys, well, of course, to get you guys to camp, because I've been trying for years.
We've camped once.
Not hotel
we can
camping.
camp again.
We'll check it out. But
We'll
anyway,
check-
thank you all for tuning in. We love you all. Subscribe to our YouTube
We don't
channel.
love you all.
Yeah, we
love
might hate a few
Most
of you
of
out
ya.
there. Anyone that's not a subscriber, I hate you.
Whoa.
Wow. He was firing people 1 year ago. Now
Yeah.
he's hating on them.
All right.
That's not good.
Great show.
Warmonger.
Yeah.
Great time.
New website, Black Friday. Next week, we're dropping a video on Cook's Corner. The following week, we're dropping a video where we got to sit down with the last 2 remaining direct descendants of the Davidson lineage to share some Harley-Davidson history, bike, Sturgis, homecoming, this, that, and the other, and yada, yada. What's
Before
up?
we leave, just
Yes.
one last thing. If you wouldn't mind, if you can, go out and check out 2LaneLIVE.com. Please look at the website. Try to navigate through it. You don't have to buy anything, but email 2LaneLIVE support and just tell us you like it, you don't like it. This was easy. This was hard. We're still fixing some of the bugs, but it would definitely help us.
Yep. Support at 2LaneLIVE.com.
Support at 2LaneLIVE.com.
And speaking of which, thank you guys always for the support. It allows us to do what we do, travel how we travel, ride how we ride, take some pictures, and eat some food along the way. And we will see you
Down the road.